Happy day. We will today talk about cyber forensics. Cyber forensics is a very key important aspect of cyber security. We have already seen in my previous video about cyber security and classification of cyber crimes. Cyber forensics is interchangeably called as digital forensics or computer forensics. The agenda for the day are: what is the definition, introduction, roles of cyber forensics, policy in cyber forensics, the need for computer forensics, cyber forensics and digital evidence, and setting up a lab for cyber forensics investigation, chain of custody concept, the digital forensics life cycle, forensics auditing, and anti-forensics. So, cyber forensics as defined will be the use of scientifically derived and proven methods toward the preservation, collection, validation, identification, analysis, interpretation, documentation, and protection of digital evidence. These digital evidences are derived from digital resources. So, basically cyber forensics is about finding evidence and collaborating with the preservation of it. Cyber forensics deals with the characteristics of evidence, and it is interchangeably called computer forensics or digital forensics. The computer forensics talks about the seizure or the ethical behavior of the data that has been collected. Digital forensics talks about the algorithm or the methods that are to prove that this evidence collected is useful. So, the role of cyber forensics is very significant, especially with the budding cyber crimes that are happening and the number of volume of transaction that is happening in the cyber world. So, the first one is basically to uncover evidence, and then it has to corroborate the evidence that has been discovered to any possibility of a criminal offense that might lead it to. It has to have a pattern of assisting in finding out whether the criminal event might occur or has already occurred. It has to connect the attack with a victim or a resource or a system, for which we have to bring it to the court of law. It has to have an end-to-end path. It cannot be a dangling investigation. It has to start and it has to end. And then, most importantly, sometimes data might be lost or it might be hidden. The most important work of cyber forensics is to extract these hidden information. There are different policies in cyber forensics. Usually in computer security, it deals about algorithms which will talk about whether if it is secure, authorized users, and whether this particular cyber crime is allowed or not allowed. Whereas in cyber forensics, it will talk about whether the evidence that is collected is significant to be produced or for further investigation, or whether it is needed at all. Does it have any relevance to the path of event that it might lead to or it has so far occurred? So, ultimately what is the aim? What is the need for cyber forensics? To have a safe cyber environment. All transactions nowadays are online. To make it more safe, it is the responsibility of the individual to have a safe environment for transaction and make a cyber free or cyber crime free environment. Cyber forensics will be of two types: computer forensics and network forensics. The computer forensics are at the system level. What will it pertain to? It will pertain to the logical files created, the computer files that are created, and the network files. Whereas network forensics will talk about the connectivity of the network, the crime that might happen at the network level or the organization level at a higher hierarchy of internet. The digital evidence can be of three types: oral, documentary, and electronic. The oral digital evidence is anything pertaining to a statement that can be produced in the court of law. Documentary, as obvious, is the hard copy of it, which can be digitally stored as well, but it is going to be produced in the court of law. Now, this electronic evidence is what is becoming more famous. It is because it is in cyber forensics, these are all hard to find, it is hidden, and it is hard to bring it to the court of law. So, what we have to do is, there are three things which we should keep in mind when we are looking for an electronic evidence. What are they? First, it should be physical in nature. It should be available in a media. You should define in which media it is available in a physical form. Second, the logical aspect of it. What is the data correlating to? Finally, we have to talk about the legality of it. Is the information that is collected, that has been corroborated, digitally proven, scientifically proven, and that which can be produced under the court of law for further investigation. There are various labs that are set up to ensure that these evidence collected are stored carefully. There are the physical space, it has to be secure and it has to be voluminous in size. Again, the hardware requirements are again with systems that are with big speed and high lots of power, and workstation that will have large storage capacity. The software tools will be there to recover passwords, to recover hidden information. There will be forensics procedures which will be using forensics kits. These forensics kits can be of two types. Field edition, which will be required on the on-site where the crime has happened, where the evidence might be collected. And it will also be a lab edition, wherein we are bringing back the evidence collected and investigating whether it is important or not. And then the labels, any secondary storage, say for example a dongle or a pen drive or a disk tape, all these things are the requirements that will be needed to build a lab for the cyber forensics. One important concept of cyber forensics is called chain of custody. What is this chain of custody concept? Is that it is a chronological written record of individuals who have had custody of the evidence from its initial acquisition to its final disposition. So, the important tagline here is the chronological order and a written document. This is the most important aspect of cyber forensics. When identified that a particular cyber crime is associated with a resource like a person or a system, the concept of chain of custody becomes very evident and very important. The digital forensics life cycle has these phases, starting from preparation and identification of evidences to collection and recording, storing and transporting, examination, analysis, report and testifying. This in itself is a very big concept and we will be seeing it in the successive video. I will move on to what is meant by forensics auditing also. Forensics auditing is the regular check of these software tools, the hardware that is being maintained to ensure that the evidence collected is accurate, authenticated, integrated, non-repudiated and accountable. Anti-forensics again is a method to preserve the evidence from further harm and ensure that the person doesn't non-repudiate and store it probably in 1 month or in 5 years later at the court of law, and it should be preserved until then. So, anti-forensics is again a method which will be used to safeguard these information. I hope this was an eye-opener to the concept of cyber forensics. Thank you.